In the Eastern Cape, all the roads which were closed to traffic due to heavy snowfall have since been reopened. The weather has started clearing up. Newzroom Afrika's Ntsiki Nohiya is with the spokesperson from the Hani District Municipality for an update and joins us live. Ntsiki, we can't see from the background that it's just remnants of snow still on those hills.
Good afternoon, Hugo. Yes, indeed. You can still see the snow on the mountains behind me. But yesterday it was worse. Most of the mountains were covered by snow, heavy snow. We spoke to some of the travelers yesterday, the motorists who were delayed, because of the, slippery roads. As much as the snow this time around in the Eastern Cape, in the prone areas, was not that much and it didn't do much damage, but people were severely delayed. So, but according to the Hani Emergency Services and Disaster Management Unit, there are no reports of fatalities. But with me to give us an update as to where do we stand at the moment, I'm joined by Bulelwa Ganyaza, the spokesperson for the Hani District Municipality. Bulelwa, thank you so much for making time to speak to Newzroom Afrika. Give us a picture. We know that the Eastern Cape is normally is prone. Some of these areas around Hani and Amatole District Municipality at Nikomalan are normally prone to heavy snowfall. How are things now? Give us a picture.
Thank you so much, Ntsiki, and greetings to you and the viewers. At the present moment, I think the situation is getting better. As you can see that the snow is at least not as it was when it started to fall. The roads have been opened. Obviously, we got a report from our disaster management teams working with all relevant stakeholders. Remember, as the district, we play a coordinating role to ensure that everyone who is responsible is involved and they are coming to the party to see what services would be required and would be necessary. But as you can see behind us, we are not having any incidents that are worrying. So the snow is dying down.
Tell us about the roads. We are now on the N6 between James Kalata and Komani. We understand that even between Elliot and Buckley East, that road was also closed. When they were closed, what happened to the motorists? Did you divert them to use alternative routes, or how did you help them?
Yes, certainly. When we experience these incidents of snowfalls, whether they are heavy or they are dangerous to motorists, we issue out notifications as you always get them from the South African Weather Services. And of course, this is what happened even this past weekend that we're coming from. So warnings were issued and motorists were advised. Our traffic services were also, which are part of the disaster management teams, they were also quite visible on the road to monitor the situations. So what happened, motorists were diverted to alternative routes, those that were coming from Queenstown side that wanted to pass using this route, they were diverted to use Molteno route, others were diverted to use Dordrecht. So that was the situation to ensure that we save lives and that people do not get delayed on the road. But those that were not keen to use alternative routes, they had to wait, until the situation becomes and the roads are bearable to use.
In the past, you would see farmers, being affected by the snowfalls. What is the situation this time around?
This time around, it was not bad at all. However, warnings and alerts were issued to farmers to say we are anticipating snowfall, which was level 2 and 6 this past weekend. So they were alerted to ensure that they get their livestock closer and nearby and ensure that they collect enough lucerne so that they can get fodder and feed during this period. So that is what happened during this time around.
Ordinarily, Bulelwa, the snowfall here, Komani is naturally a cold place. The snowfall will occur this time of the year. Are you, as much as the South African Weather Services haven't issued any warnings, but are you expecting another snowfall before the end of the year?
When you're talking climate change, anything is possible. But what we heavily rely on are the warnings and alerts that we get from the South African weather services. They are always prompt. They are always. However, last time around when we had floods, Chris Hani was not listed on those. So you can see that those are the implications that we deal with in terms of the climate change that is confronting us. Otherwise, at the moment, there are no alerts that we have received.
Thank you so much, Bulelwa Ganyaza, the spokesperson for the Hani District Municipality. And no snowfall expected, but anything is possible here in Kumani as one of the areas that are prone to snowfall, Hugo. But before I take it back to you, I would just want to ask my colleague, Evisa Mafai, to show you the mountains. The snowfall is covering some of the mountains. As much as it has started to melt yesterday, but it is very much visible. And it is more than this in other mountains on between Berkeley East and Elliot. That's where we'll be heading to from here. And Hugo, what we're getting from the officials on the ground, the disaster management team, the emergency services, together with the Department of Transport here in the Eastern Cape, is that roads are still pretty much slippery, and they encouraging motorists to drive with extra care. In some of the areas, especially between Engcobo and Elliot, that area is always foggy, especially when there's snowfall and during summer this time of the year. So motorists will continue to drive with care, and they will continue to be delayed because they need to drive with extra care on the roads. Temperature-wise, there's still very low temperature. And people here, when we spoke to them in the morning, they were saying that even though the snowfall is melting and the weather is clearing up, but the cold front is still gonna be there. It's still going to be staying with them for a couple of days to come. Hugo.
Ntsiki, thanks very much for that. Now we've